Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Honorable Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, honorable members and people of Fiji. I'm grateful to be given this opportunity to highlight to this August House on some of the major water issues that we have been facing from December of this year, and how the Ministry, through the Water Authority of Fiji, has been doing its best to resolve these problems and address these problems. Amongst the countries in the South Pacific region, Fiji has had one of the oldest infrastructures for water and wastewater, probably because we started developing these earlier than other countries. The Greater Suva area accounts for the largest set of Fijians accessing water and wastewater services. Post-tropical cyclone Yasa, all services in Suva have been restored. And with the current water production, Water Authority of Fiji should continue to serve Fijians to the best of its ability. The intermittent supply areas where we have intermittent supply, are being served with water carting services. For the Greater Suva area, supply is expected to improve further in the next year, 2022, once the Rewa River Water Supply Scheme is commissioned. In prioritizing water, the government has allocated a total of 120.25 million in the financial year 2020-2021 to the Water Authority of Fiji's capital projects to progressively help us achieve our goal of 24/7 delivery of water to all Fijians and expand Fiji's sewerage network. Let me provide some insight into operations at the Water Authority of Fiji. The WAF is guided by the policy provided by the Minister for Infrastructure, and it is also guided by its 5-year and 20-year National Development Plans for Fiji, the Water Authority of Fiji Act of 2007, and the recently completed Water Authority of Fiji Strategic Plan for 2020 to 2025, and the Water Authority of Fiji 20-year Master Plans. In the year 2010, there were only 126,794 households in Fiji that were connected to the Water Authority of Fiji's reticulation system. And by January 2021, 11 years later, the numbers have risen to 145,256 households. And these numbers exclude commercial connections. So, looking at these numbers, over the 10-year period, there has been a 15% increase in the number of households that are connected to Water Authority of Fiji, a 15% increase. Water produced by the authority showed that when Tropical Cyclone Yasa and Anna were rampaging over Fiji during December 20 to January 2021, there were disruptions on the Water Authority of Fiji infrastructure that caused decrease in the water produced. For Suva's Waila and Tamamo treatment plants, a decrease in water produced was experienced from 5,292 megalitres or million litres in December to 4,872 megalitres in January. While in Labasa, the Labasa systems, production dropped from 623 megalitres in December to 464 megalitres in January. Due to the cyclone's impact causing heavy rainfall, the water intakes faced very high turbidity and debris, resulting in major system blockages. The Water Authority of Fiji, in its quest to provide consistent water supply to all Fijians, even during post-cyclone periods, arranged for water carting to thousands of households in the Suva and Labasa regions. Carting tank loads of water up to the total volume of 6,301 megalitres and using 990 truckload trips to households in the Greater Suva area was carried out between December 2020 and February 2021. While in the Labasa region, a total volume of 10,240 megalitres of water using 1,352 truckload trips was carted to residents in the Labasa region. Fiji is highly vulnerable to tropical cyclones, floods and drought, and the cyclone season runs typically from November to April. In recent years, with the impact of climate change, we have been getting an average of 2 tropical cyclones each year. These bring heavy flooding, destructive winds and rising sea levels. And these disasters have had an adverse impact on community water supply systems and also on the Water Authority of Fiji's infrastructure. The El Niño effect has also hit some of our community areas very badly, causing drought and increasing rainfall in some instances, causing flooding. For the two recent tropical cyclones, Yasa and Ana, one of which was a Category 5 cyclone, Yasa damaged a lot of WEF's infrastructure. In a total, there were a total of 21 water systems that were affected during TC Yasa and TC Ana nationwide. And due to flash flooding, high turbidity, main bursts, and landslides, the water systems were affected, and thousands of customers were without water supply for some time. For the past 3 months, Suva and Labasa have been experiencing water disruption issues. Suva has, for the past 3 months, experienced around 263 water mains disruption, and Labasa had 159 water mains disruptions. In Suva, WEF has experienced 467 unplanned water disruptions and 3 planned water disruptions in 2020. The Labasa urban region experienced 451 unplanned disruptions and 10 planned disruptions. Power failure also affects our water pumping stations. In the event of a power failure, pump stations, water treatment plants lose their ability to operate. Thus, water supply is disrupted. To mitigate this, standby gensets are installed to power the assets in the event of a power failure. A key component in the transition from EFL grid power to genset power are the automatic transfer switches, or the ATSs, which enable automatic changeover of power. However, in some cases, ATS capabilities are not compatible for all locations. For such locations, switchover is carried out manually, and it is during this period of manual switchover that causes reservoir levels to drop, thus affecting services, especially in the greater Suva area. Over the past 10 years, rural to urban drift has increased the urban population dramatically. The 2017 census results reveal that 55.9% of Fiji's population resides in urban areas, which is increased from 50.7% in 2007. So, in other words, the rate of urbanization has risen around 5.2% over that 10-year period. Many new informal settlements are springing up around our urban centers, causing new applications for water meters. The challenge for this is that water authorities' treatment plants are now processing way over their built capacity, the capacity they were programmed or they're designed for. Now they are being asked to produce for many more people than they were originally designed for. And that is a major challenge that we have, and that, as I said, for the Greater Suva area, that challenge will be addressed once the Viria scheme, or the Rare River Water Supply Scheme, comes online next year in 2022. With the extra demand on the system, smaller mains become inefficient and unable to deliver the required newly increased flows and volumes demanded by the customer. This will eventually result in low pressure and even lead to intermittent supply. This can be remedied through hydraulic mains improvement, which consists of the upgrading of existing mains by replacing the existing pipe with a larger pipe that can deliver a greater flow and volume. As I've said before, WEF operates a network that was built over half a century ago, and a lot of the age of the infrastructure and facets of the network are now unable to meet the current demand, hence the need to upgrade and improve. Scheduled improvements to the system have also put a large strain on some of the older assets, leading to burst mains and critical failure, and this affects the delivery of services. As such, these costs contribute to increase in repairs and maintenance costs. We still have a lot of old infrastructure that has served its purpose, and most of the reticulation system was built along the coastline in response to population demand. Given the infrastructure and its position, these structures had been the hardest hit and continue to be vulnerable. Now, in terms of plan of action and what WEF is doing to address all of these issues, to mitigate these challenges, WEF continues to invest in major projects around the country. Water treatment plants in the Mau, which has been completed. Sabu Sabu, which is almost complete now, the package plant. Viria, Nambowalu, Nagando, Wudindawa, Deuba, and Waiwai are being constructed to fill in the reticulation gaps in these regions. Moreover, Tasman tanks are constructed in the western and central regions to ease the intermittent water supply issues, namely for Rara Levu, for Tadirua East, Lautoko Hospital, Dundee Hospital, and Turat. Our Fiji 266 billion raw water supply project will supply much needed water with a capacity to supply an additional 40 megalitres or 40 billion litres a day of water into the Greater Suva area and this huge investment will come into fruition by the year 2022. The WEF master plan for major towns has also been documented, which shows the roadmap for the future investment on what WEF will put in to address its infrastructure. Building a resilient infrastructure that caters for the needs for the present and future is the main goal of the master plans. WEF plans to automate one of its daily operations, which sometimes causes water supply disruptions in the Suva-Nosore corridor. Currently, it takes the WEF teams about 2 hours to manually operate 8 critical valves. And by eliminating this troubling time, the valve operation happens at a push of a button. An automated system will be more efficient and shall reduce the number of water disruptions caused by pressure fluctuations in the pipe during and after valve operations. With WEF's GIS systems, we now know where the pipes are, where the valves are, where the pumps, meters, and other facilities are located. We also know the location and water usage patterns of our customers who will be affected in the case of water disruptions. Automation of data on WEF's SCADA systems provides an edge to the authority to have a proactive approach in scheduling plant protective maintenance to avoid unplanned shutdowns and disruptions in service. It will further allow the authority to plan water distribution using real-time data in required areas in times of disaster. The manual systems limit the authority to be able to monitor real-time data and evaluate the whole operations. Carrying out analysis on service efficiency and its effectiveness is not an option on the manual system. The impact of this will be continued intermittent supply areas in some areas. Furthermore, the cost of crude oil keeps rising exponentially, and manual operations do not allow reducing either energy costs or operation costs. Demand management. Water conservation is at the core and is an integral part of demand management, managing the demand for water. Water demand management focuses on managing the demand for water rather than methods of exploiting new sources or suppressing supply. The Water Authority has a responsibility to wisely manage its fundamental resource through the implementation of water conservation and demand management programs. The initiative is paramount for the individual customer, consumer, and the authority, and as such, the success of conserving water and reducing demand is borne by both parties, by WEF and also by the customer. The project of water conservation and demand management would potentially devise programs that will promote better management of the water supply system, influence customers to purchase water-saving appliances, disseminate information to influence consumer behavior on water issues, regulate water usage and consumption patterns, and enforce regulatory effectiveness. Consumer awareness. Water Authority conducts awareness programs all year round, in all year round exercises, where customers are advised to store water at least for 2 to 3 days during droughts and cyclone periods. And this is something that we constantly advise. When we are in this cyclone period, that people should try to keep at least 2 to 3 days supply of water around, in case something happens. Water-wise education programs are run in schools to educate students to use water wisely. The Water Champion program was initiated for students to educate them regarding the water harvesting, treatment, storing, and distribution process. To the people of Fiji, we can make the assurance that while we've had issues, we will continue to work on addressing these issues through the various measures that I've outlined so that we can move progressively towards our target that we have to be able to provide all citizens of this country clean water and water that is good for their lives on a daily basis. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I thank the Honourable Minister for his ministerial statement.